Most people buy a Ranger Raptor and never use half the features they paid for. Today I'm going to show you what all these buttons and drive modes actually do and how to use them the right way. So what I really like about this Raptor build on the Ranger platform is Ford puts, I would say, probably $20,000+ of technology and upgraded accessories into this truck that you'd have to spend aftermarket to even get close to the same level. So the Bronco will have lots of switches up top to change all of your lockers. On the Ranger, we select this button right here, and it brings all of our powertrain up here on the screen so we can set the front locker. So with the press of this button, we can see our powertrain mode here, so we can see if we're in four-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. We can set our rear locker, our front locker, our trail control if we want to basically set cruise control in the trail. This will allow us to cruise up or down hills in half-a-mile-an-hour increments. So you can set that at 1 mile an hour and then go in half-mile-an-hour increments above that. We have our traction control button. This does have a trailer backup assist, so if you need to have the vehicle steer you to back up to that trailer, can do that or back the trailer up for you. We have our pitch and roll calculation here, so we can see how far forward, back we're leaning or side to side that we are leaning. So on the steering wheel, we have an exhaust pipe, and what it is going to do when you select it is give you 4 options. We have quiet, normal, sport mode, which will be a little bit louder, and then Baja mode, which is not completely wide open exhaust, but it will be quite a bit louder than factory exhaust. With our shock button, we have normal, we have sport mode, and we have off-road. So normal is going to give you the most comfort while driving on road. The sport mode is going to help stiffen that suspension just a little bit to reduce some of the body roll. And then off-road is going to allow those chambers to open and take those really, really big blows and have the dampening set up so that it doesn't rebound on you and send that rear end flying. On the steering wheel modes, we have normal, we have comfort, and we have sport. So comfort's going to be little softer inputs. So as you move the wheel, you'll notice less input. So if you're driving on a long road trip, a little side to side is not going to move the vehicle around as much. That Baja mode, the sport mode is going to tighten that steering up so that when you have an input, it's going to react more like a sports car. And then normal mode will drive like any other Ranger. And with the R button, you can go in here and preset all of your modes so that you can preset your steering, your exhaust, your shocks, and the auto stop start. You can set those to different modes, and that's basically a memory key, so it'll go right back into the mode that you prefer. And then when we look at our drive modes, we have a slippery mode, which is going to activate four-wheel drive automatic, which is basically an all-wheel drive mode, which works great in the snow and ice on the road and when it's very wet. Tow haul mode obviously is going to change the shift points and give you some additional trailer readouts up here on the screen. Sport mode is going to be set up if you need to drive fast like you're driving on a track, but not necessarily off-road. That's going to increase your shift points and help keep power to those tires. Off-road is going to engage four-wheel drive, and then you'll notice here on the screen it is engaging the rear locker. So if you're doing hard, sharp turns off-road, you can deselect that to make it a little bit easier to steer, but that mode will automatically engage four-wheel drive high. So both front and rear is locked through the transfer case, and that rear differential is locked. When we go to Baja mode, it's going to leave us in 4 high, but it's going to disengage the rear locker. That way, if we're running fast through the trails, having that differential unlocked will actually help you maintain more traction, because if you get wheel slip on one side, it's not going to send the entire differential into a tailspin. And then our last drive mode is going to be rock crawl. So this is going to put us in 4 low, and it's going to engage that rear locker. So if you're going up really steep terrain, going over rocks real slow, you can utilize that. If you do need to make sharp corners, you may need to disengage that rear locker. And if you get to a spot where you're getting wheel slip, but your tires are mostly facing forward, you can go ahead and lock that front differential to get you over that ledge. Just keep in mind, you're not going to be able to turn with that front differential unlocked. It's going to continue to push you forward. So if your steering is in a bind, you can just unselect that right there. Trail control enabled. It's just like setting your cruise. I'm going to set the speed limit here. So now we're set on trail control 1 mile per hour, and you can see here I'm increasing that in half-a mile an hour intervals. So you can use this if you want to go up a steep trail, you're nervous about having to control that brake or that throttle. You can watch your different cameras here, which we have many different modes. In front, we can see where the tires are tracking. We need a wider angle to see around a blind corner. Maybe there's a bunch of trees blocking us and we're not sure if we're going to drop off a ledge. We can see around that corner. We can see right behind us to see if our rear has left an obstacle. We can see right down the side. So this one is great if you are making a corner and you don't have a spotter with you or an inexperienced spotter. It's very easy to catch a rock on the rear tire, catch it on the rear of the body. This way you can get really, really close to something as you come around, and you can watch that rear tire and see exactly how close you're getting to something. So as you cross terrain, you can spot those rocks in the corners. And if you need to keep an eye on those front tires, You can throw it on the 360 mode, and you can really see exactly where your vehicle is at on the trail. So especially on your blind side, which is your passenger side, if you don't have a spotter, you can keep yourself out of trouble by utilizing those camera modes. Now, if you do open your door, it's going to disengage that trail control. So if you're not exactly sure which modes to use when, it's easy to go through the menu up here, and based on your driving scenario, use one of these drive modes. Now, if you're an expert and you know exactly where you want to go, you can also just press the different selectors here, and then you can manually engage lockers as you please up here on the screen. So you have 4A, which is four-wheel drive automatic, which basically makes this thing like a Subaru. It makes it an all-wheel drive. So if you do need to run on pavement and off-road, that's a great one to hit. If you're just going up a trail and you don't want to have to go back and forth between 4-high and two-wheel drive, you just keep it in 4A. As the vehicle detects slip, it'll engage that transfer case using clutches, but it also allows the transfer case right here to have a clutch in it. So as I turn these wheels and the rear drive shaft is pushing against the front drive shaft that may be running at a different speed, it doesn't damage that transfer case, and you don't feel the steering bind that you would feel in a normal four-wheel high situation. And one might ask, when would I ever use the paddle shifters? If you have this thing in Baja mode, what you can do is you can use the paddle shifter if you want to override what it's doing automatically, or you can select the M button on the side of the gear selector right here, and now we are in paddle shift mode, so it is only going to stay in the gear that I have shifted. So if you're running kind of a test track, or you're driving high speed and you want to keep the RPM in a certain range, you can use these paddle shifters to do that. And when you're in that Baja mode, it's nice because this front camera is going to stay on the entire time, so you know exactly what's coming, even if it's a blind spot, especially going over a steep hill. So you can use it for a couple things. One, to help you slow down by using the engine to brake. Two, you can keep those RPMs up at a high level. If you know you're going to be doing a jump or some type of hill climb, or you're needing to dig yourself out of a corner, you can set that gear so that when you're exiting the corner, you're in the exact gear that you need to be in.